On this episode, we're getting rid of rust. Okay, so I'm gonna get started on working on this fender. You can see this is the badly rusted part. So what I've done is I've just kind of drawn out a section here that I'm going to cut out. I'm going to cut this out, take a look, see. It has a second layer underneath here coming in from the back, so I'll see how badly that is rusted and what needs to be done, and then hopefully I'll just be able to weld in some new metal once I cut out all the rusty stuff. So. You can see now that I cut this open, on the back here there is some holes cut into the reinforcement metal, and I think just dirt is accumulated in here, and that's what's causing this all to rust out, because this is all kind of dirt, probably gets wet, holds some moisture in here. So let's clean all this out, see if how thick this reinforcement metal is, but it still seems fairly good. And then we'll treat it with a rust converter and put the new patch in there. We should be good to go. We look at the other side here, it's not too bad, but I am going to have to cut out probably a certain part of this here just to allow us to get the repair done. So you can see it has this inner fender, and then this is the back piece that seems to be fairly rotten. So see if I can separate it along here. I'll probably cut just along here and then go from there. Okay, so I think I've got most of the really bad metal cut out. None of it's really great, but so what I'm going to do now is use a bit of cardboard here just to come up with a bit of a template for the pieces that I need. I'm using a Diet Pepsi box. I know a lot of you might be thinking, I'll never be able to do this. This guy's clearly sponsored by Diet Pepsi. That's not true. I am not sponsored by Diet Pepsi. I just happened to find this in the trash bin, so you can do it, even if you don't have big name sponsors like Diet Pepsi. So just keep at it. Okay, so now I've transferred the shape from the cardboard template onto a piece of metal, and after many trial fittings I have gotten this so that it fits inside here, just like this. So it's all ready to go in. I'm going to treat both this piece and the inside of the fender here with rust converter. Give it a little bit of time to dry. The reason this piece has some surface rust on it, it's just extra sheet metal I have laying around the shop from previous project, and I want to use it up. So once it's been treated, it should be good for quite a few years still to go. So we'll get this done and we'll start welding it in. Okay, so that's the inside piece done. I also just took care of this little crack over here while I was working on the outside there. So now I'm going to give this a coat of epoxy primer, not epoxy primer, self-etching primer, and then let that dry, and then I can start working on the outside piece. So. Okay, so I've got this just lightly tacked in. This is the outer sheet metal. The inner piece, I wasn't too worried about it warping because you're not really going to see that. This one I'm going to be a little bit more careful. What I'm doing is I'm just spacing out the tacks as I go around so it doesn't get too hot. If it gets too hot, or if like I weld too much in one area, it can warp the panel. So I'm just going to kind of go around, space them out, let it cool in between, and yeah, that should finish it up. Okay, so that's the initial kind of weld in. I did get a little bit of warping, but like you saw in the earlier video, this was kind of all warped to begin with. It had a bunch of body filler on here, so it's probably going to end up basically back the same, but without the rust hole. So the next step is basically to kind of grind these down a bit, smooth them out. I'll check for any, quite often when that happens, you notice there's a few spots that need to be touched up. And then after that, it's just kind of a light skim coat of filler to kind of smooth this out. And we'll be moving on to something else. Okay, so as you may be able to tell by my spiffy new attire, it's a new day. We ran out of time last night, and but we did manage to get the fender back on. We painted some of the little accessory parts that were attached to it and reattached that. Gave the inside of the fender a quick spray bomb with just white paint to clean it up a bit. But now we've got it back on here. I'm gonna, because I wanted it on here to be able to do the body work. So I've given it a quick sand down just to etch it in. And I'm going to do some body filler on this section here, and just up at the front here, there's a bit of a dent, as well as right in here. I'll probably sand this a little bit more, just so the body filler has something to bite into. So. Okay, so as far as body filler goes, I'm using this Feather Right. I've used it before. You can see it's half empty. Basically, you just scoop some out here. I use cardboard. Some people say you shouldn't, but you use what you got. So I've got a fairly large area, so take it like that. You add some hardener. You should mix up your hardener here so it's not all just liquid coming out. And about that much of that there. It's pretty hot out today, so this is probably going to set up fairly quickly. And then basically you just want to mix it so that it's all one uniform color. This is basically now roughed in. It's fairly smooth. It still needs to be probably a final coat and kind of block sanded to get perfectly smooth, but pretty happy with this at this point. And that's where we're going to end this episode. We're running out of daylight again, and this fender is getting pretty close. Like I said, it's going to need a little bit more work when we do the rest of the body work, just to final prep for paint as we block sand everything and get it all smooth. But yeah, I'm happy with that, and I think this fender's going to work until we can find a replacement. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Analog Generation.